Hello everyone. The last episode, actually episode 2, was extremely messy and I had a lot of errors in it and also was like half an hour long, so I decided to re-record it. Problem is I already did the previous programming, so we are going to have to go over what has changed from last time, which is actually quite a lot, but it works way better now and it should also, if I look at it correctly, not this apparently. It doesn't really want to do it. I'm not sure why, but it doesn't want to do it. If we go to our build folder, debug SDL tutorial and go on the exe, we can now see that we display something actually. Really nice. I have no clue why this happens in the in exactly this file, but it's just what it does sometimes. Start debugging. It really doesn't want to do it, which is really weird. If I do without debugging, it doesn't want to do it again. Alright, let's go over what we did. First of all, we added a string up here. Strings are basically text. Lines of text is what we did there. Very simple, we just put in the name of what we want and named the string variable G game underscore name as a public const string. For this you need to import the using system here. This is the core library that has a lot of cool things that you can use so that you don't need to code these yourself, and one of them is strings and it's there, so we're going to use it. Next thing is we moved lots of the code into different libraries. The only thing that you can see from last time really are these two. These two lines of code are the only thing that was there last time as well. Other things are all differently and moved differently. First of all, we have the init function. We moved this to a new class, the SDL Manager. You can just create new classes with this, and then you would name your class SDL Manager, Manager, like this, and then you would end up with like a class that has nothing in it. Next, you need to add something. First of all, up here, you need to add system.collections, and system SDL2. That's what we're going to use in here. The SDL Manager is a class that we use to manage what we do with SDL and have three main functions, which being the initialize function, the close function, and the load media function. First of all, we also put in the things that we had in the main program, which was the window pointer, and the surface pointer, which are both here now in public static variables. This is nice because they technically belong to SDL, so we put these in the SDL Manager. Then there's a dictionary. Dictionaries is like a dictionary of textures, or in this case, they're called services for SDL. And you just store all of your data in one of these dictionaries, because that's an easy way to access them, and that's also an easy way to just have all of your textures in one place. Start up with the init function. First of all, we're turning a result. This is weird. Usually would just return a void. Results are there, are Beef's way of checking for errors. This means that if an error has happened, you would check this with a result. This means that instead of returning a bool, like SDL does, which it does here, right now, it does return an int, but some of the SDL functions return a bool, we turn .error or .ok. This is what users can check for if they call the init function, which we're also doing, actually. We're doing it up here. If the result of init is error, we set a runtime fatal error, which is basically crashing the program. So if the SDL couldn't initialize, we're just going to crash the entire program because everything else would crash anyways after this. So that's what we're doing on here. Same thing. This is where we wrote the error, where we had error handling in the last episode. The same thing what we had here. Instead of using a string here in the create window, we are now using the game name from here. The string. This makes it easier to just change what the name of the window is. It's just a really easy thing to do and not that complex, but still a really good thing and fast way of changing just what's supposed to be in there. Other things, nothing else. It's just the same thing that we did normally. Close is basically the same as well. Basically, this part is the same. This part is the same. We destroy the window and we quit. Then there's the return the OK, which means that, yes, we closed correctly. I don't think closing wrongly really does anything to us, but if that ever happens, we could do it. Next thing is actually that we have the texture dictionary, and since this is an object, we need to delete it as well, which we'll do here. And since we store all of the surfaces in there, all of the screen surfaces, we also need to delete those through a for string, which is just for every string and surface in textures, we free the surface. Very, very easy and not that complicated. So for load media, which you've also seen, is just loading a texture, nothing else. We call the load function, load BMP function of SDL, and use the path in order to add it to a dictionary, and that should work. What we're going to try now is try to find out why it doesn't actually work in our debug program and only in the other program, which I've actually really no clue why this could happen. First of all, what we're going to do is actually change something up, because there's a very easy and short way of how you can do stuff with SDL that you usually don't, like that how you can manage assets. We're going to copy something from one of my projects. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how to type this manually as well, but it's just way easier for me if I copy it from here, since this is basically it. I'm going to cancel and then go to the last workspace, which is this one. So, SDL has, not SDL, Beef. The Beef IDE has these things called post-build commands. That's basically commands that we're going to do after we build the project, which there's a nice one, which is copy files if newer. The copy files if newer command takes in two arguments, the thing where it comes from and the thing where it goes from. It basically does, whenever the file has been changed, it will copy the file there after the program has been built. In our case, we're going to have to add this one here, because that's what it names. And we're doing this 2 times. First of all, we copy the asset folder in project directory to our workspace folder, where SDL2 is. Then we copy the build directory, the build2, into the project folder. It's really not that complex. Look at it. I'm going to probably put it in the description as well, so you can use it manually as well. Then we hit apply. OK. If we compile, does not exist. Assets doesn't exist. Yeah, we have to add that before. So save all. We're going to open containing folder. Now we're here. We have to create a new folder, which is called assets. Assets, and we move all of our assets in there. Actually, we're going to take the asset that we had in our build folder last time, which is here, the image.bmp, and we're going to move it to assets. Because it's an asset, it's an image. This is just, image.bmp is just an image I generated with Critter. You can use most image programs. BMP isn't that, is a very common type. You could probably use GIMP to create a BMP file. You could also just download a BMP file from somewhere. GIMP, Critter, Photoshop, all of these programs should be able to create these BMP programs, these BMP files, and that should work fine. Now, instead of actually loading from directly, we're going to load from assets, image BMP, assets, image BMP. This should work out fine, hopefully. Let's see. It does work. And we can actually see a face now. I apologize for this being a pretty unorganized episode. This is kind of the problem with me doing these live and not looking too much at what the source code is before I actually do them. I'm gonna do that for the next episode, definitely. Otherwise, we're gonna have a hell of a problem here. But if you still have any questions about this, please just tell me. Tell me in the comments what questions you have. I'm going to do my best to hopefully be able to answer them. I just think that letting all of you watch a 30-minute video isn't really going to be a good idea, and just not really going to be the best thing. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you want to learn more beef, you can visit the beef Discord or my personal Discord, also beef themed slightly, or follow the series more. That should also work fine for all intents and purposes. So yeah, see you next episode when we're going to try to handle user input. That's what we're going to do then. So yeah, see you all. Bye.